For the last 25 years, one specific word has been broadcast on a near-constant loop through the American news cycle. In presidential speeches, courtrooms, and evening broadcasts, it was presented with a single, unvarying definition: violence, terror, war. But beneath that relentless coverage lies a remarkable omission. Across thousands of hours of reporting, the actual, factual definition of the word was almost never spoken. By repeating one meaning to the exclusion of all others, this coverage created a singular and incomplete definition for an entire generation. To find the true baseline, we have to look to classical Arabic scholarship. The Arabic language has very specific terms for armed conflict. The word for war is harb. The word for combat is qital. The word jihad comes from an entirely different root verb, jahada. It translates to striving, exerting effort, and endeavoring for a noble cause. The concept of a holy war simply does not exist within the DNA of the word. We are left with a historical discrepancy. A word rooted in ethical, noble effort was somehow exported, hollowed out, and refilled with the modern concept of terrorism. This diagram illustrates three spheres of effort. At the center is Jihad Akbar, the greater jihad, an internal, spiritual struggle against one's ego. Moving outward is Jihad Kabir, the great jihad, acts of community service. The outermost circle is Jihad Asghar, the lesser jihad, the defensive military dimension. Even then, classical Islamic law restricts this outer circle to defensive actions. It strictly prohibits transgression and requires a legitimate, recognized legal authority to declare. The entire framework is heavily regulated to maintain peace and moral order, rather than initiate conflict. The fracturing of this understanding in the West traces back to one specific catastrophic flashpoint: September 11, 2001. Al-Qaeda needed a justification for an extremist political ideology that flagrantly violated classical Islamic rules. To get it, they weaponized a sacred term. In the chaotic weeks that followed, Western media needed a framework to explain the tragedy. They inadvertently adopted the terrorists' corrupted definition, broadcasting it globally while ignoring the theologians. Modern jihadism is not a religious principle. It is a political distortion that stole a word from 1.8 billion people. The world's leading Islamic authorities recognized this theft immediately, and they issued unambiguous rejections. Within 24 hours of the attacks, Al-Azhar University in Cairo, the oldest authoritative Islamic institution, officially condemned them as a direct violation of Islamic law. In 2004, over 200 global scholars signed the Amman Message, a unified declaration explicitly placing al-Qaeda's ideology outside the boundaries of Islam. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation, representing 57 Muslim-majority countries, issued its own institutional condemnation. Western academic institutions, including Oxford University Press and Georgetown researchers, confirmed what the Global said. The violent interpretation is a modern political invention. The historical reality is that the violent interpretation is the extreme exception. Yet, through selective reporting, the West allowed it to become the absolute rule. This diagram illustrates a useful parallel. Think about the English word discipline. It can mean personal self-control, it can refer to an academic field of study, or it can mean a form of punishment. Imagine a reality where every newspaper and television station only ever used the word discipline to describe punishment. Over time, the public understanding of the word would warp completely. That mechanism of selective, flattened translation is exactly how 1.8 billion Muslims were misrepresented for a quarter of a century. Away from the geopolitics and the headlines, the true definition of the word survives in the daily reality of the global Muslim community. The Great Jihad is the teacher staying after hours in an empty classroom, dedicating their time to help a struggling student succeed. The Greater Jihad is the quiet, internal dedication of a nurse working a double shift at a hospital, or a parent sacrificing to provide their children a better life. Correcting this definition is a moral responsibility. It provides the tools to dismantle decades of fear and returns the word to those who live its true meaning.